Okay, the question is, a shopkeeper had 4,985 pens and 16,207 pencils. She sold 2,680 pens and 7,986 pencils. She also had to throw away 16 faulty pens. The question is, how many pens and pencils are left in total? This is how many pens and pencils were left unsold, all right? And we're further asked to round our answer to the nearest hundred. Now, there's two ways I could go about doing this question, and I've already drawn out one way of looking at it. Now, in this first one, I drew a large block, and this represented both pens and pencils. And in fact, this was how many pens and pencils the shopkeeper had altogether at the beginning of the problem. Okay, so here we had pens, 4,985, and here we had pencils. Okay, and as you can see, hopefully if I add those two together, I can calculate how many pens and pencils I had all together at the beginning of the problem. Okay, I added them together over here, and that brought me to 21,192. Okay, so I had 21,192 pens and pencils all together. Okay, this then takes me to block 2. I've drawn a big block here very badly, but there it is. This is supposed to be a question mark. Alright, so this whole block, the whole value of it is 21,192. That represents how many pens and pencils I had all together at the beginning. What I've done here is I've split them into sold or thrown, and this is unsold or left. Okay, all right, now how did I calculate this 10,682? Where does this number come from? Well, what I did was I added together everything that was sold or thrown away. This is sold or thrown away, and you could, if you really wanted to, represent this with a separate block, but I've got the numbers here. 2,680, that's from here. 7,986, okay, and this is 16. Ignore this bit, this is just me carrying from when I've done the addition. So I added these together and I got to 10,682. Here we go, 10,682. And this is the bit that I need to figure out. Alright, so hopefully you can see I need to take 10,682 away from 21,192 to calculate this bit. Here, this is where I've done this, 21,192, subtract 10,682, gives me 10,510. What is that? What's 10,510? That's how many were unsold or left. And that's what I'm asked. How many pens and pencils are left in total? Well, not quite. I have to do a further step. All right, round your answer to the nearest hundred. What I like to do when I'm rounding is to underline the number that I'm rounding to. I'm rounding to the nearest hundred. This is the hundreds column here. All right, I then look to the next number to the right to see if I need to round up or down. And by round down, I mean leaving the number the same. Yeah. So if the number is 5 or more, I will round up. If it's 4 or less, I round down. This number is a 1, which is less than 4, which is 4 or less, so I'm going to round down. So my rounded answer is 10,500, and this is the squiggly equal sign means approximately. So the answer is 10,500. Okay, I'll show you another way I could have modelled this or drawn this, and that was to treat the pens and pencils separately. Okay, so let's draw another block. Okay, this is pens. Alright, and first I'll put in how many I sold. Okay, and how many did I sell? I sold 2,680. 2,680. This is how many I sold. Okay, I had to throw away 16, didn't I? I had to throw away 16 pence, so that's how many I threw away. I'm just going to put TA. Okay, that's not a 9, it's a TA. Alright, and this is how many that are left. Question mark here. Alright, I do also know what the total amount is, don't I? For how many pens I had at the beginning. So how many pens did I have at the beginning? 4,985. So 4,985 is how many I had at the beginning. So hopefully you can see that if we take these away from this, we're going to be able to calculate this question mark here. So the first thing to do is 2,680. We need to add the 16, right, because I'm just going to add those as a block. Okay. So I really should be disciplined here and remind myself that I'm adding. So it gives us 2,696. Alright, so I know that these two together are 2,696, and I need to subtract them from this. Okay, so 4,985 subtract 2,696. Okay, so I can't do this. Okay, which gives me 2,289. What's that? This is this bit here. So this bit equals 2,289. And what does that mean? There were 2,289 pens left, okay, at the end. Right, let's draw a similar block for the pencils. Right, we had a lot more pencils, so even though this is not to scale, I am just going to make this a bit larger. Gosh, I'm really terrible at drawing, aren't I? There we go. So this is the pencils. Okay, this is how many that were sold. How many were sold? 7,986. 7,986. And this is how many were left. And again, it's what we're trying to calculate. And we do know what the total is. The total number of pencils. Let's be good and label everything. Alright, so this is pencils. The total number of pencils sold was 7,986. The number we had in the beginning was 16,207. So I need to subtract this from this. So 16,207 subtract 7,986. Remember to align everything up carefully. 7,986. Okay. Okay, which gives us 8,221. What is that? That's this bit here. 8,221. That's how many pencils were left. Okay, what are we asked? We're asked how many pens and pencils are left in total. So I need to add these two together to find out how many pens and pencils are left in total. So that's 2,289, add 8,221. Okay, it's an addition. Okay, so again we've got 10,510, which looks familiar from the other way of calculating it. And again, so 10,510. I've been asked to round my answer to the nearest hundred. This is the hundreds column. I'm going to look here. Is this 5 or more or 4 or less? It's less. So my rounded answer is going to be 10,500. Okay.